What was the name again? Just forgive me, I don't have it written down. So Moshe Ber Nachman Halevi. Okay. So we're up to Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. We are 4 lines into the page. Just to review, we said Ein Shliach L'Dvar Avera, and it's a svara, which means if I send you to do an avera, the shliach is responsible, not the one who sent him. There's no shliach L'Dvar Avera. It doesn't go back to the mishalech. What's the source? It's just a svara. Divrei harav, divrei hatalmid, divrei mishamin. You should listen to God, not listen to the person who sent you. It's not an excuse. Then the Gemara says, but wait, isn't Me'ila an exception? What about Me'ila? There is shlichus L'Dvar Avera, and Me'ila is the exception. Why not learn out from Me'ila? So we said because Me'ila and shlichus yad is shnei ksubon ke'echad ein malamdin. Now shlichus yad only works according to Beis Hillel. According to Beis Shammai, there is no source of shlichus by shlichus yad. Therefore, according to Beis Shammai, why don't you say learn out from Me'ila? So now the Gemara said because Me'ila and tvicha and mechira is shnei ksubon ke'echad ein malamdin, which means there's 2 cases of the exceptions where there is shlichus L'Dvar Avera, which means that when I send it, I'm responsible. Even though I'm not the one who actually did the Avera, I'm the one who's responsible. That's Me'ila and Tvicha Mechira. Tvicha Mechira, we just started, mamish a second ago. Tvicha Mechira is the Gemara on the shelves. Or here. I actually have a Gemara on my seat. So Tvicha Mechira is as follows. If you steal a sheep and slaughter it or sell it, even though you're not the one who slaughters it, you're still chayiv. Means the one who slaughtered it, even though he's a shliach of yours, you're responsible. So that's an example of yesh shlichus L'Dvar Avera. So there's 2 cases of shlichus L'Dvar Avera. That's Me'ila and Tvicha Mechira, and those are the exceptions. Shnei ksubon ke'echad ein malamdin. Let's see inside. Me'ila hadamrin. We already clarified Me'ila. Tvicha Mechira maihi. What's the source of Tvicha Mechira that there is shlichus L'Dvar Avera? Amar kra utvachai oy macharoi. The pasuk says that you steal a sheep and you either slaughter it or sell it. Now ma mechira idei acher. Now, just like selling it involves a second party, right? You have to have another party to sell a sheep, right? You can't just do it yourself. So to the slaughtering has to be done idei acher, which means that you're not the one who slaughters it, but you sent it through a shliach for someone else to slaughter, and you're responsible. Even though he's the one who did the avera, but because you sent him, you're responsible. That's an example of shlichus L'Dvar Avera. What's another source that tvicha mechira has shlichus, meaning yesh shlichus L'Dvar Avera by tvicha mechira? To be Rabbi Shmuel Tana oy l'Rabbis as a shliach. The word oy includes a shliach. To be Chizkiya Tana tachas l'Rabbis as a shliach. Okay, these are all sources that there is shlichus L'Dvar Avera by tvicha mechira. So the reason why we don't apply this to kol Torah kula is because me'ila and tvicha mechira are shnei ksubon ke'echad. Shnei ksubon ke'echad ein malamdin. You don't learn when there's a concept found twice. You don't apply it to other examples. The Gemara says, "Ha nich l'man damer shnei ksubon ke'echad ein malamdin." Now what happens if you hold Shnei Ksubon Ke'echad Malamdin, which is that you could learn it out from, even though it's found in 2 different places. So why don't you say Yesh Shlichus L'Dvar Avera, because we find it by Me'ila and we find it by Tvicha Mechira and learn out from it. Even though it's found in 2 places, there is an opinion that holds that you could learn it out, even though it's found in 2 places. So you should learn out from Me'ila and Tvicha Mechira Yesh Shlichus L'Dvar Avera, which again means that if I ask you to do an Avera, I'm responsible, not you, even though you're the one doing the Avera because I sent you. So why don't we say that? So the Gemara says, I'll tell you why we know for certainty Ein Shlichus L'Dvar Avera, Gali Rachmana b'Shchutei Chutz, because we find by Shchutei Chutz, Shchutei Chutz is the Isser of shechting outside of the Beis HaMikdash. You're not allowed to shecht a carbon outside of the Beis HaMikdash, and if you do, you're chayiv kares. And there's a specific pasuk that tells you that if I sent you to shecht it outside of the Beis HaMikdash, you're responsible, not me. Because ein shlichus ayir shliach of mine, ein shlichus L'Dvar. How do I know this? The pasuk says, "Dam yichashev liishahu dam shafach." The person who slaughtered it, he's responsible. Hu v'lei shluchay. He's responsible if he personally slaughtered the animal, but not if he sent a shliach. Because if he sent a shliach, the shliach is responsible. Because ein shlichus L'Dvar. So therefore, you really have a choice to learn it out from Me'ila and Tvicha Mechira, but we don't, because we learn it out from Shchutei Chutz. So the Gemara says, now Eshkechin Gabi Shchutei Chutz. That's a source for Shchutei Chutz. B'chol HaTorah Minol. And how do I know that Kol HaTorah Kula Ein Shlichus L'Dvar Avera? Yof Shchutei Chutz. We learn out from Shchutei Chutz. Here's the question: you have a choice to learn out from Me'ila and Tvicha Mechira that there is Shlichus L'Dvar Avera, if you hold Shnei Ksubon Ke'echad Malamdin, or you could learn out from Shchutei Chutz Ein Shlichus L'Dvar Avera. Why are you learning out from one and not the other? So the Gemara says, Adiyolif mishchutei chutz. Instead of learning out from shchutei chutz that ein shlichus l'dvar avera, neilif mehanach. You should learn out from meila and tvicha mechira, yesh shlichus l'dvar avera. There's options either way, so why are you choosing one over the other? So the Gemara says, Hadar Kasar Rahman, I'll tell you why. Shchutei chutz has two sources. One source is to tell you ein shlichus l'dvar avera by shchutei chutz, and the second source is ein shlichus l'dvar avera l'chol terakul. The Gemara says, because it says by shchutei chutz, one source was we had dam shafach dam yichashev l'isha hu v'lo shluchay ein shlichus l'dvar avera once, and it also says v'nichas ha'ishahu. It says the word ahu twice, both times to tell you no shliach. Shlichim don't ein shlichus l'dvar avera. So therefore, again, shlichus l'dvar avera means that if I tell you to do the avera, who's responsible, you or me? If you say yesh shlichus l'dvar avera, it means me. Ein shlichus l'dvar avera, you. So we're saying by shchutei chutz it says ahu. Only the one who slaughtered it is responsible, not the one who sent it.
You say yesh shlichus, both the chef and the
No.
person? Only the person.
If you say yesh shlichus,
You say yesh shlichus,
that means only the one who sent him.
but not actual shlichus.
Correct. So the point is, it says by shchutei chutz the word ahu twice. One is to tell you ein shlichus l'dvar avera by shchutei chutz, and the second is to tell you ein shlichus l'dvar avera b'chol haTorah kula. Okay. Imeni in legufay tenei in l'chol haTorah. Okay. So now here's the question: if you hold shnei ksuvan kechad ein malamden, I do not learn out, then how do I know ein shlichus l'dvar avera? Because there's no source for it, right? We find yesh shlichus l'dvar avera by meila and tvicha mechira. So if you hold shnei ksuvan kechad ein malamden, I don't learn out from those things. So ein shlichus l'dvar avera. If I hold malamden, then I should learn out from meila and tvicha mechira. Hence, I need the two sources of shchutei chutz to say no. But if I hold shnei ksuvan kechad ein malamden, right? So I know ein shlichus l'dvar avera. Then what do I need the word ahu twice for? By shchutei chutz. This entire thing of using the two sources by shchutei chutz is if you hold shnei ksuvan kechad malamden. So I should learn out from meila and tvicha mechira yesh shlichus l'dvar avera. To that the Torah says ahu twice by shchutei chutz to say no. But if you hold shlichus l'dvar avera ein malamden, so then there's no shlichus l'dvar avera. Then what do I need the word ahu twice by shchutei chutz? It's not necessary. Again, the word ahu twice is telling me ein shlichus l'dvar avera. I already know that. If I hold shlichus l'dvar avera ein malamden, what do I need the word ahu twice for? So it's a cheshbon de gedaf. It's a good thing we're not doing this during the break. So the Gemara says, so chad l'miyutei shnaim shaychsim b'sak mishoy. There's just tam halachas by shchutei chutz. Again, shchutei chutz is you shech the carbon outside of the Beis Hamikdash, you chayiv kares. So the word ahu twice. If you already know ein shlichus l'dvar avera, what do you need the word ahu twice for? So one is to tell you l'miyutei shnaim shaychsim b'sakim b'shaychtim. One is to tell you that if two people shecht simultaneously, no one's chayiv, because it says ahu singular. Only if one person does it, but if two people do it, there's no chayiv kares. B'chad. And another source is to tell you that you're only chayiv if you do it on purpose. Huv'lei honest, but let's say you were coerced to do it. You had to shecht it because they put a gun to your head. You're not going to be chayiv kares. Huv'lei shaygig, if you did it accidentally, you're not chayiv kares. Huv'lei muta, let's say you did it because you were tricked into it. There's no chayiv kares unless you shechted a carbon outside the Beis Hamikdash on purpose. Okay, fine. The other Tana who uses the hahu to tell you ein shlichus l'dvar avera, how does he know these laws? Hu hahu, the extra hay. V'ida hu hahu le'darsh. And the other opinion doesn't darsh in hays. Okay, fine. So we have a rule. Ein shlichus l'dvar avera. Ein shlichus l'dvar avera. By the way, ein shlichus l'dvar avera means that if I hire you as a hitman, ein shlichus l'dvar avera means you're responsible, not me. Here's the problem. The shita of Shammai Hazakin. If I say ein shlichus l'dvar avera, that means I hire you as a hitman to kill somebody. So you're my shliach. But ein shlichus l'dvar avera, I'm not responsible. You're responsible. Right? If you say yesh shlichus l'dvar avera, that means that his actions is a shliach, so I'm responsible. Ein shlichus l'dvar avera means I'm not responsible. The hitman's responsible. Shammai, huh? It's never going to be both. So I mean maybe dina shamayim, but not. So here's the shaila. Shammai Hazakin holds that if you hire a hitman, the one who hired him is responsible. So that's a problem. The Brisa teaches, if you hire a hitman to kill somebody, hu chayiv b'sholchav pater. So the first opinion holds ein shlichus d'var. So the hitman is responsible, not the one who hired him, because the hitman did it. He's the one who actually did it. He's a shliach of his. Yeah, but you shouldn't be listening to that guy. But Shamei Hazakin says no. Mishum Chagei Hanavi. Shamei Hazakin quotes Chagei Hanavi. Sholchav Chayiv. The one who sent him is Chayiv. So the first opinion holds that the one who hired the hitman is Pater. Shamei holds the hired hitman is Chayiv. Wait a minute. I thought ein shlichus d'var. Why am I Chayiv? I'm not the one who did it. I hired you, but you're the one who did it. You should be Chayiv. So the Gemara says, and what's Shamei Hazakin's source? Shenemar oisei harakte b'cherev b'nei Ammon. He holds that if you hire a hitman, the one who hired him is Chayiv. That's the question. So, and what's the source that he holds that the one who hired the hitman is Chayiv? Because the pasuk says, David HaMelech, he set up Uriah HaChiti to be killed. Right? So he sent Uriah HaChiti to the front line. He was killed by the Goyim. The pasuk says that the Navi told David, you kill him. Now, David didn't actually kill him. If anything, he sort of like got a hitman. Like David got the nation to kill Uriah. And yet, the pasuk says you did it, which means that one who hires the hitman is responsible. That's Shamei Hazakin's source. So the question is, but wait, I thought it's ein shlichus d'var. The answer is Shamei Hazakin holds yesh shlichus d'var. Why? Because he holds that you could learn out from two sources. So Me'ila and Tvicha Mechira, which yesh shlichus d'var, he learns out from. Vehu hahu loy darish, and he doesn't darish in the word hahu to say not like that. So if he actually holds yesh shlichus d'var. Huh? Well, okay. Thank you, Adam. It's a new year, but he's still ruining the daf. That's the last answer. No. So the first answer is that Shamei Hazakin Taka holds. No, that's how the other Tana understands the pasuk. So Shamei Hazakin Taka holds yesh shlichus d'var or iba yisema, or another answer, which is lo'ilam darish. Really, Shamei Hazakin holds ein shlichus d'var. Really, Shamei Hazakin holds ein shlichus d'var. So why does he say that the one who hired the hitman is chayiv? He says chayiv b'din shamayim. Shamei Hazakin doesn't actually mean that if you hire a hitman, of course the hitman is going to get the death penalty. The one who hired him is chayiv b'din shamayim. So he could still hold ein shlichus d'var. That when he says the one who hired him is chayiv, he doesn't mean chayiv in the death penalty. He means chayiv in din shamayim. Here's the problem though. So now what's the machlekes? So what does the Tanakama hold? That the one who hires the hitman is potter in din shamayim? There's no way in shamayim they're not going to find you responsible. Right? We thought that Shamei Hazakin, when he said that the one who hired him is chayiv, it means he gets the death penalty. The answer is no. The only one who gets the death penalty is the hitman. The one who hired him, Shamei Hazakin just says, is chayiv in shamayim. In shamayim, they're going to punish him. So what does the Tanakama hold? They're not even going to punish him in shamayim for hiring a hitman? Of course, that's ridiculous. So the Gemara says, Mechal the Tanakama sabra afim di shamayim, nami potter, eladina rabadina zudik benayim. The answer is like this. Everyone agrees that the hitman is going to get the death penalty. The machlokes is, the one who hired the hitman in shamayim, is he responsible? It doesn't mean that Tanakama feels he's not responsible. It just means that the Tanakama feels that in Shamayim, they won't find him as responsible. Meaning, Shamei Hazakin feels that in Shamayim, the one who hired the hitman is chayiv as if he pulled the trigger. The Tanakama feels he's responsible, but not as if he pulled the trigger. So they both agree that he's responsible in Shamayim, which the question is, to what extent? Okay. Iba Yisema, or another answer, and that is generally Shamei Hazakin really holds ein shlichus d'var avera, but Shani Hasa, murder is different. The Gali Rachmana Oisarat b'cherev Ammon. He has a pasuk. Again, Shamei Hazakin has a pasuk that the pasuk says, David HaMelech, you're responsible, you killed him, which means even though you didn't actually pull the trigger, it's as if you did. So Shamei Hazakin generally holds ein shlichus d'var avera, but murder is the exception. Okay, that could be. And here's the question: we paskin ein shlichus d'var avera, right? Which means we paskin ein shlichus d'var avera. So which means
there were other soldiers in the front lines also.
Yeah, but no, that he told them to pull back. They all pulled back. He was alone. It's in the pasuk. I think he told them to pull back. I gotta check. I think so. But because whatever his plan was to have him killed. He sent to the front lines for him to die. So the pasuk says you killed him. Seemingly, you're the one who's killed. You pulled the trigger. You're chayiv. He didn't want to do it. Yesh shlichus d'var avera. So what is the Tanoim who hold ein shlichus d'var avera? What do they do with that pasuk? They do with the pasuk what Adam says, which is When the pasuk says that you killed him, it doesn't mean that you're responsible. It means you got him killed by the Ammonites. The same way you're not responsible for any actions the Ammonites did, so too you're not responsible for his death. Meaning, in other words, the other Tanaim feel that what David HaMelech did was 100% mutter. Why? Because they feel that he was Morid b'malchus. So it's mamish mikatza l'katza. Shammai Azakin understands the pasuk as saying that you, David HaMelech, you're guilty of killing him. The other Tanaim feel that you're actually completely fine for having him killed because he was Morid b'malchus. Meaning, you had him killed by the Ammonites. And just like you're not responsible for the Maisa of the Ammoniyim, the Ammonites, whatever they do, they're going, whatever. So you're not responsible for his death. Why? Because he was Morid b'malchus. So the Gemara says, V'idach, harilach kicher b'nei Ammon. The pasuk is saying not that you're responsible. You're not responsible. His death is like the sword of the Ammonites. Macher b'nei Ammon einat aneneshalav. Just like you're not responsible for the deaths that the Ammonites did b'chlal. So too, you're not going to be responsible for his death. Why? My taima Morid b'malchus have. Because Uri Achiti was Morid b'malchus. Why? The Kamerlev Adoni Yoav Avdi Adoni Apnei Asadachayim. Because to David HaMelech's face, he called Yoav. He said, "My master Yoav." You cannot tell a king. You cannot use the term master to the king describing someone else. That's Morid b'malchus. So because Uri Achiti said that he's Morid b'malchus, he's Chayv Misa. Okay. New sugya. One more quick sugya. We said that there's a possibility that Shammai Azakin holds yesh shlichus l'dvar avera, which again means that if I hire you to do an avera, I'm responsible. But says the Gemara, there's one exception. Even Shammai Azakin holds if the shliach is doing an avera that has benefit, has hana, pleasure, he's responsible. Like if you tell someone, go live with a woman, I'm sending you as a shliach to go have bia with an Eishes Ish, and they live with the Eishes Ish, he's responsible, not you. Even if you hold the yesh shlichus l'dvar avera, because the guy did an avera that has hana. If you do an avera that gets hana, you're responsible, according to everybody. Okay. The Gemara says, "Amarava imtim silamer savar shamei shnei kzum v'gechem melamdin." V'o laydarish, even if you hold the Shammai Azakin holds generally, yesh shlichus l'dvar avera, moide b'armil shluchait say balas erva v'echas achelev. If you tell a shliach have relations with an erva or eat chelev, I'm sending you as a shliach to eat chelev. He's responsible, not you. Why? We do not find in Kol HaTerakula a concept that someone could get a benefit and someone else could be chayv. So the whole concept of Yeshich Avera is an Avera that has no hana. But if the Avera actually has hana, you're responsible for doing it. Okay. New sugya. Itmar. Rav Amar Shliach Naseid, Tebei Rav Shila Amar Ein Shliach Naseid. Questions like this. If I send you as a Shliach, can you then be made? Right? I send you as a Shliach to Mekadesh and Isha. Can you then be one of the Edom? So you'd say, well, yeah, like that's sure. You saw it, but the Be'er of Shila said you cannot. Ein shliach naseid. So the question is, my time of the Be'er of Shila. Why do they say that the shliach cannot be an aid? If anything, the shliach should definitely be an aid. He's like saw it happen. So the Gemara says, maybe it's because I sent you as a shliach. I never appointed you as an aid. Here's the problem: you don't have to appoint someone as an aid. An aid just means you see it. The whole concept by weddings that we appoint them as Eidim is because there's other people seeing and there might be puzzle like this. But let's say there's just two people around and you're Mekadesh and Ish in front of them. There's no one else, just two men. Is it not good if you didn't appoint them? Of course you don't have to appoint them. Aid just means they see it. So why can't a Shliach be an aid? And don't tell me it's because I sent him as a Shliach. I never sent him as an aid. You don't have to appoint him. They see it. So why can't he testify to what he was a Shliach for? So the Gemara says, where you're telling me that every time you don't appoint someone is not an aid? Of course that's not true. You don't have to appoint aidim. So why does Tebei Rav Shila hold ein shliach naseid? So the Gemara says, Ella, Rav Amar shliach naseid, alumi koma ami lemilse. Rav holds that a shliach can be an aid. On the contrary, he's a stronger aid because he definitely knows what happened. He was the shliach. They say no. Why not? Because shliach shaladnu kamaisai the same way, right? Can the husband testify that he was mekadesh and isha? No, right? He can't be one of the edim because he's related to him. He's one of the principal people, right? The shliach, because he's shlucha shaladnu kamaisai, it's like he's the chassan. And the same way chassan is pasalei this on his own wedding, so the shluchim are pasalei this on their own on the action that they did. Okay, so we paskin says a machlekes shliach naseid or ein shliach naseid.
And why is that? Because since the shliach shalom kamoso,
then it's like he's the principal. He's the negei beidus. He's instead of the chassan. So the same way the chassan can't be an aid, the shliach also cannot be an aid. Sorry, just my brain is. I've never done this before. not daf, 2 hours after Yom Kippur. Keep going. Meis we have a kasha. So you tell me it's machlokes whether shliach naseid. Here's the problem. We have machlokes beis Shammai beis Hillel, and it seems to be universally accepted ein shliach naseid. The Bryce is like this: Tziva kachalei isha. Am l'shloisha. You tell 3 people mekadosh an isha for me. The question is, what do you mean? The assumption is that everyone agrees whoever you appoint as a shliach cannot be an aid. So do I appoint all 3 as shluchim, so none of them can be an aid, or am I appointing 1 as shliach and 2 as aidim? But it's universally accepted that if you're a shliach, you cannot be an aid. So the Gemara says, Shnai meid divrei Shammai. Beis Shammai holds, when you tell 3 people to mekadosh an isha, what you really mean to say is 1 shliach, so he can't be an aid, but the other 2 could be aidim. Beis Hillel says, no, kulam shluchan hen, ein shliach naseid. Beis Hillel says, no, I think when you appoint 3 people to mekadosh isha, you mean all 3 are shluchim. Everyone agrees a shliach cannot be an aid. The machlokes is, what do you mean though? But it's universally accepted. Both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel hold that a shliach cannot be an aid. So how does Rav disagree with Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? So the Gemara says, okay, so how does Rav shtim with both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel being against him? So the answer is, there's a different version of this machlokas that has Beis Shammai agreeing with Rav. So Rav will have to go with the second version, and he works with Beis Shammai, which isn't also, as you can imagine, not great for Rav to be going like Beis Shammai and not Beis Hillel, but we'll get to that in a second. Hudamar Kaitana. Rav has a different version. He follows Rav Noson's version of the machlokes, the Tanya. Rav Noson oimer Beis Shammai oimer shliach ve'eid echad. Beis Shammai holds, according to this version, shliach naseid. So the one of the shluchim is a shliach and an aid. Beis Hillel oimer shliach shnei eidim. Beis Hillel disagrees. So according to the second version, Rav is following Beis Shammai. Here's the problem. Is that great that Rav can follow Beis Shammai? It's not great to follow Beis Shammai. You want to follow Beis Hillel. So the Gemara says, "V'Rav ki Beis Shammai." So you're telling me that Rav follows Beis Shammai only and not Beis Hillel? So the answer is Epoch. You have to switch the names. So according to the second version, you'll have to go with the second version, but switch the names so that Beis Hillel holds Shliach Naseid according to Rav. Okay. Rav Acha Bereder of Masni Ika, and there's a different version of the machlokes that right now the machlokes is Rav holds Shliach Naseid and the Be'er Shila ain't Shliach Naseid. This version is the opposite. Rav holds ain't Shliach Naseid and the Be'er Shila holds Shliach Naseid. Okay, so a different version. Rav Amar ain't Shliach Naseid, the Be'er Shila Amar Shliach Naseid, V'hilchasa Shliach Naseid. We paskin that a Shliach could be in it. Okay. Okay. All right, so far we're doing good. Our brain's working. One more difficult sugya, and then we're almost done. Okay. Amar Rava, Amar Rav Nachman. We paskin shliach naseid. Okay. I'm just going to pause it for a while. Okay. So. Okay. Amar Rav Nachman. Again, we paskin shliach naseid. Says the Gemara. Amar Shnaim. If you tell 2 people, Tzu v'kachli is a isha, mekadosh an isha for me, so you send them as shluchim. Hey, nein shluchav, hey, nein edim. So shliach naseid, they could be edim as well. Chaim begerishin. So to go to the next page, if you send 2 people to divorce a woman, they could be shluchim and they could be eid. Okay. And then the chaim bedin imamna. So too with money. If I send 2 people to pay off my debt, they could be shluchim and they could be an eid. Okay. So why do I need 3 times to tell me this? That it applies to Kiddushin, to Gerushin, and to money. So Gemara says tzricha. You need all 3. Iyash meaning Kiddushin. If it just said by Kiddushin, the concern always when you send shluchim to be edim is how do you know that they're telling the truth? Right? Maybe they're just lying because they want to back up that they said that they did the job that they said. So by Kiddushin is the most simple. There's no reason for them to lie. Why would someone want to make a woman married? If anything, if you find her attractive, you want her to be single. So by Kiddushin, you're making her married. So like there's no reason for them to lie. But when it comes to divorce, by divorce it's a chiddush because maybe they never actually delivered the get, technicality reasons, but they found her attractive, so they said, oh, we did. It's a chiddush that we still believe it. Then the Gemara says further, even Gerushin, though, it's not the biggest chiddush, because I'll tell you what, even if both of them found her attractive, she can't marry both of them. So the likelihood that both of them are going to be in cahoots is small. But mammon, emahani miflig palgi. But when it comes to money, maybe they never actually deliver the money, and they just split it between the 2. And therefore it's a chiddush that heinen shluchav, heinen edim, the shliach naseid. Okay, let's just get to the 2 dots. The 2 dots is a lot easier. This from here to the 2 dots is the tricky part. Micah Savar. What does Rav Nachman hold? Again, Rav Nachman holds that the shluchim could also be edim. What does he hold? Ika Savar hamal v'chaver be'edim tzarich lepar be'edim. It's a shaila in general. If I lent money in the presence of witnesses, do I need to pay it back in the presence of witnesses? It's a machlokes. If you hold that if I lent money in the presence of witnesses, it has to be paid back in the presence of witnesses, then here's the problem. If that's the case, then why do we believe them? Think about it. I borrowed money from you. I borrowed $1,000 from you in the presence of witnesses, which means I can't just claim I paid it back, right? Because if I don't have to pay it back in the presence of witnesses, I can just say I paid it back. I can't do that. I give it to you two as shluchim in the presence of witnesses, which means you are now responsible. Because again, I gave it to you in the presence of witnesses, which means you are now responsible to make sure that it goes to that case. So you're claiming that it was given over there, that you actually delivered it. Why are you believed? If you don't say that, you're going to be responsible to pay me back. If you hold that you don't have to pay back in the presence of witnesses, so then I could just say, I paid it, whatever. But no, I actually have to, if you hold that it was given in the presence of witnesses, it has to be delivered in the presence of witnesses, it has to be paid back, which means that if I ask you to be shluchim in the presence of witnesses, I gave it to you, you're now responsible. You either have to say that it went to him, or you got to pay me back. So of course you're going to say you paid him. You're negei b'davar. Because if you don't say it got to him, you now owe me money. I gave you the $1,000 to deliver. I gave it to you in the presence of witnesses, which means you're responsible to pay me back in the presence of witnesses. So what do I say? What happened? You're like, oh, we delivered it. Of course you're going to say that. What's the alternative? Micah Savar. Ika Savar. If you hold that if you lent money in the presence of witnesses, you have to pay back in the presence of witnesses, then you're negei b'davar. The amri loy parane amri leparuni. Because if you don't say it's paid back, you got to pay me. So of course you're going to say you paid it back. Now look at the Bach. The Bach adds a couple words. Now here's the opposite. Let's say you hold that it doesn't have to be paid back in the presence of witnesses. So here's the question: what do I need you guys for? Again, I borrowed money from you. I borrowed $1,000 in the presence of witnesses. If I have to pay you back in the presence of witnesses, and I gave it to you guys to deliver in the presence of witnesses, you have to deliver it to him or pay me. So of course you're negei b'davar. So why do we believe you? If I hold which means I don't have to pay you back in the presence of witnesses, so why do I even need your testimony at all? Oh, you're shluchim and you're also edim. I don't need your edus. I could just say I paid it back. I don't need witnesses. I could just say I paid it back. I don't even need. Why is your testimony necessary? If it's necessary, you're negei b'davar. If it's not necessary, I don't need you. That's basically the problem. Like, when is it necessary? And if it's necessary, you're negei b'davar. I know this is tricky. Just do your best. So the Gemara says. Really, the case is, I borrowed money from you in the presence of witnesses, but I don't have to pay back in the presence of witnesses. What do I need you for? I could just say, I paid you back. The answer is, I can only say I paid you back if I actually paid it directly to you. The second I send it to shluchim, I no longer can make that claim. Therefore, I need you guys. Back to the same problem, though. If you guys are necessary, then why are you believed? You're negei b'davar. The answer is, okay. Basically, when I give you the money, and we hold that it does not have to be paid back in the presence of witnesses. So I give the money to them to deliver to you. Normally, if you guys were not here, I could have just claimed I paid it back. No witnesses, but don't need witnesses. But the second I said I gave it to shluchim, I lose my power. Therefore, you guys have to testify. But here's the problem: if you guys are the shluchim, you should not be believed, because don't you sort of want to say that you gave it to him? The answer is you don't have to. You could just as easily say you gave it back to me. The halacha is you only have to make a shvuah if you're moide b'miktzas. So you could just claim, I don't know what you're talking about. When I gave you guys the money, you have two options. You see, generally the reason why someone is a problem with a negei b'davar means if you're pushed in a certain direction, we don't believe you, right? Like if you're incentivized to say A, then we're not going to believe you. If you hold let's say I borrow money in the present witness, I have to pay back in the present witnesses, and I give you guys the money as shluchim in the present witnesses, you now have to pay me back unless you say you gave it to him. So you're incentivized to say that. No good. The answer is we hold amal b'schaver be'edim ein tzarich l'chaver be'edim, which means if I borrowed money from you in the present witnesses, I don't have to pay back in the present witnesses. I gave you guys the money to deliver. So you'll say, wait, aren't you incentivized to say, you're not incentivized to anything. You could say you gave it to him, or you could say you gave it back to me. There's no, you're not, it's not made of mixes. You're just saying, you could have easily just said, I gave you back the money. I don't know what you're talking about. And no shavua, because you're not mode of mixes, there's no biblical shavua. So because you could just as easily say you gave me the money, you could say you gave him the money. And one last point, it's tricky. The Gemara says, "V'hasha detikun rabban and shvuas hesis," but now that there's a concept called shvuas hesis means that Chazal instituted that if you claim you don't know what you're talking about, you have to make a shvuah. So now here's the problem. If I gave you guys the money, we said before that you could just deliver it and be the shluchim. Why? Because you're not incentivized to say that you gave him the money, because you could just as easily say you gave it back to me. But now that there's a concept called shvuas hesis, if you say that, you'll actually have to make a shvuah. So you'll be incentivized to say you gave it to him. Okay? And the conclusion of this case is that if I gave you guys the money to give to him, you claim it went to him, he claims he doesn't have it, so who has to pay? Me. The Gemara says, you'll have to swear that you gave it to him. He'll swear he didn't receive it. Now I have to pay. Okay, that was a little tricky, but the last line is that in this case, if I give you guys the money to deliver, nowadays that there's actually shvuas being instituted, if you claim you gave it to him and he claims he didn't get it, he'll swear, you'll swear, I'll pay. Yeah, basically. One last little bit, and we're almost done. Ha'ish mekadesh is bito. A man may marry off his daughter when she's a naira from 12 to 12 and a half.
If we can just split it.
Correct. I can get messed up. Yeah. Because you could just claim, you could say you gave it to him. He could say he didn't get it. One of you is a liar, right? It can't be that you gave it to him, and it can't be that he didn't get it.
Right.
You'll swear, I'll have to pay. It would be a foolish thing to give money to shluchim. If you hold hamalvas chaver edim ein tzarich l'farer be'edim, for me to give you guys the money to deliver would be foolish. Yeah. Pay it directly. Pay it yourself. One last little bit, and that is, the Mishnah said that you're able to marry off your daughter when she's a naira, 12 to 12 and a half. The question is like this. Tanan Hasam will introduce a machlokes, and we'll get into it tomorrow more. Okay. You know what? We will stop a little bit earlier because it's a whole flow. We'll just go a few more lines. Because tomorrow it's a whole flow. We'll start some.
And last piece.
That was hard, to be honest with you. I don't know how well. I think I understand it a little bit. It's a tricky subject. Let's just finish up like this. Tanan Hatzam, there's a mission Gittin. Nara Merasa, if you have a girl who's 12 to 12 and a half, who's married, but she had Erison, so she's not fully married. She had Kiddushin, and she's getting divorced. Who could receive her get for her? She's still technically, till she's 12 and a half, she's still in her father's domain. But she is 12 and she's already had Kiddushin. Can she receive her own get? It's a machlekes. Who v'avia mekabel Kiddusha? So the Tanakama feels either she or her dad. You could give it to her or her dad. Both are options. Rav Yehuda, ein shtei yadayim zeches kachas. Rav Yehuda says, no. You can't have two people in control. Therefore, it's got to be either she or her dad. And who is it? Her dad. So if you have a girl who's 12 to 12 and a half who has Kiddushin, who can receive the get? According to Rav Yehuda, Dafka the dad. According to the Tanakama, both either her or her dad. The question is, what about Kiddushin? That's by a divorce. What about a girl 12, 12 and a half? Who could be Makabel her Kiddushin? Definitely her dad. The question is, can she also Makabel Kiddushin? So you see, according to the Rabbanon, she can Makabel her get. Can she Makabel her Kiddushin? So the Gemara says, this is just stam a line that if a woman is not mentally capable of holding on to her divorce, you can't divorce her. And if she's mentally incompetent, she can't be divorced. That's just the end of the mission. So the question is like this. What about Kiddushin? It says, Machloikes, according to Tanakama, she or her dad can be Makabel a get. What about Makabel Kiddushin? According to Rav Yehuda, again, by a divorce, 12 to 12 and a half. Rabbi Yehuda says dafka her dad. Tanakama says either her or her dad. That's by divorce. The question is, what about Kiddushin? So Rish Lakish, ki machlekes legerushin, kach machlekes Kiddushin. Rish Lakish says, same machlekes. Whatever they hold by gerushin, they hold by Kiddushin. Meaning, can a girl 12 to 12 and a half, who could be makabel her Kiddushin? According to the Rabbi Yehuda, dafka her dad. According to the Rabbanan, either her or her dad. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, no, machlekes legerushin, aval Kiddushin dever akol avi avalehi. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, I actually think the whole machlekes is dafka by gerushin, but by Kiddushin, everyone agrees dafka her dad. Everyone agrees dafka her dad. So let's just do a few more lines. Why is it that Rabbi Yochanan says that? Again, according to Rabbi Yochanan, by divorce, after she can makabel her divorce. Kiddushin, dafka the dad. Why would that be? So the Gemara says, "Vam Rav Yosi bar Chanina, my time there Rav Yochanan aliba der Rabbanon." What's Rav Yochanan shita? What's the based on? Gerushin the machnes asas mishus avia ben hi ben avia Kiddushin mafkes asas mishus avia v'lehi. The answer is as follows: the father has the rights until she's 12 and a half. Right? She's still in the father's domain. The Rabbanon feel that she or her dad can be makabel the get, but says Rav Yochanan for Kiddushin it's dafka the dad. Why would that be? The answer is divorce. What happens when she receives a divorce? Whose house does she go back to? Her dad. So her receiving a divorce does not weaken the father's stance. On the contrary, it's just speeding her back to his domain. So therefore, the Rabbanan feel she could be makabel a divorce. But Kiddushin, the second she's makabel Kiddushin, she's leaving her father's domain. They feel it doesn't make sense that we would be able to take away the father's power. The father has her rights until she's 12 and a half. So by gerushin, the father doesn't mind. Let her be makabel a divorce because she's just going back to my house. So it strengthens. It sort of like strengthens his hand. But Kiddushin, the second she's makabel it, then she leaves her father's domain. It doesn't make sense that she should be able to do something that leaves the father's domain before she's 12 and a half. That's the shtickle Torah of Rabbi Yochanan, and tomorrow we'll review this last point and we'll reanalyze this position.
Yeah.